Lieutenant John Miller wiped sweat from his forehead as he examined the rifle on the testing table. The Nevada sun beat down on the military research facility, making the air shimmer above the concrete. Next to him, Dr. Lisa Ward adjusted her safety glasses and made notes on her tablet. "Try the new composite barrel this time," Lisa said, pointing to the modified weapon. "The heat resistance is 30% better than standard issue." John nodded and picked up the rifle. He had been working with Lisa for 3 years on Project Longshot, improving traditional ballistic weapons with advanced materials and engineering. While most military funding went to laser and plasma research, their small team kept perfecting what many called outdated technology. "Sometimes the old ways just need new materials," John often said. He lined up his shot at the target downrange and fired 3 rounds in quick succession. The weapon performed flawlessly, with noticeably less recoil than its predecessor. Lisa smiled as she reviewed the data. "Perfect grouping at 500 yards. General Evans will be pleased." Their celebration was cut short by the facility's alarm. Red lights flashed as a voice came over the speakers. "All personnel report to emergency stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." John and Lisa exchanged worried glances before securing their equipment and rushing to the command center. Inside, dozens of officers and scientists crowded around screens displaying news footage from around the world. Massive ships, each at least a mile long, hovered over major cities on every continent. "First contact," whispered Lisa, her voice a mixture of awe and fear. General Ryan Evans, a tall man with steel-gray hair, noticed them and waved them over. "Miller Ward, good timing. The President has ordered all top research personnel to report to Washington immediately. We've got transport waiting." "What's happening, sir?" John asked. "They call themselves the Velrathi," Evans replied grimly. "They've requested meetings with world leaders and military officials. Your project just became a priority." 24 hours later, John and Lisa sat in a secure Pentagon briefing room with 30 other military leaders and scientists. The screens showed the alien ambassador, a tall silver-skinned humanoid with 4 arms and large multifaceted eyes. "I am Zortek, primary envoy of the Velrathi Collective," the alien said, its voice translated through a device on its chest. "We come offering guidance to your developing world." The President of the United States leaned forward. "We appreciate your offer, Ambassador Zortek, but Earth is capable of determining its own path." Zortek made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "With respect, your civilization has barely mastered basic space travel. Your technology shows a quaint," a general from China spoke up. "Our military capabilities are considerable. We prefer peaceful relations, but—" "Your military?" interrupted Zortek. "We have studied your weapon systems thoroughly. You still rely primarily on chemical propellants to launch metal projectiles." The alien gestured dismissively with one of its 4 hands. "Most developing worlds abandon such primitive tools once they discover basic energy manipulation." To demonstrate, Zortek nodded to another Velrathi who stepped forward holding what appeared to be a small silver sphere. A shimmering field surrounded the alien as the sphere activated. "This is a standard personal shield," Zortek explained. "Now please demonstrate your most advanced weapon." After a tense discussion, the military leaders agreed to a demonstration. A soldier brought forward an experimental laser rifle, the pride of American weapons development. With permission, he fired at the shielded alien. The beam hit the shield and dissipated harmlessly, spreading across the surface like water. "As expected," said Zortek. "Even your most advanced energy weapons are easily deflected." The Secretary of Defense signaled, and a different soldier stepped forward with a standard military rifle. "May we?" he asked. Zortek waved permission, with a dismissive gesture. The soldier fired 3 rounds. Each bullet hit the shield and disintegrated into dust that fell harmlessly to the floor. "Projectiles are even simpler to neutralize," Zortek said. "The shield converts kinetic energy to heat, vaporizing your primitive bullets on contact." John nudged Lisa. "Did you see that?" he whispered. "See what?" she asked. The shield flared differently when the bullets hit, almost like it was working. Harder. Lisa started to respond but fell silent as Zortek continued speaking. The Velrathi wish to establish guidance centers around your world, the alien announced. We will help direct your technological development along more appropriate paths. And if we refuse this guidance? Asked the Russian president. Zortek's facial features, so alien yet somehow expressive, showed what could only be described as pity. History shows that developing worlds who reject guidance often destroy themselves through resource wars or environmental collapse. We would be forced to establish protective control for your own safety. The meeting ended with no formal agreement, but the message was clear. The Velrathi were not asking permission. Over the next week, massive alien structures appeared on every continent. News reports showed Velrathi ships easily neutralizing military responses. Fighter jets were disabled mid-flight. Tanks stopped in their tracks. Missile systems failed to launch. At the Nevada facility, now operating under heightened security, John and Lisa reviewed footage of every military encounter with the aliens. Look at this pattern, John said, pointing to slowed-down video of bullets hitting alien shields. The shields flare brighter with physical impacts than with energy weapons. Lisa nodded slowly. They're optimized for energy dispersion. That makes sense. Any civilization developing energy weapons would focus their defenses against similar technology. But we didn't follow that path entirely, John said. We kept improving kinetic weapons alongside energy development. So you think there's a weakness? Lisa asked. I think they're so confident about their superiority that they've overlooked something. The shield works against our bullets, yes, but look how much energy it expends to vaporize them compared to deflecting the laser. Their conversation was interrupted by Sergeant Alan Cooper, a weapons specialist recently assigned to their team. Lieutenant Miller, Dr. Ward. General Evans wants you in the command center immediately. They found Evans watching a live broadcast. The Velrathi had announced the first phase of their guidance program. All military research facilities worldwide would now operate under alien supervision. Resistance would not be tolerated. They're moving faster than we expected, Evans said. We have maybe 48 hours before they place supervisors here. John stepped forward. Sir, Dr. Ward and I have a theory about their defensive systems. We need permission to run tests on their shield technology. Evans looked at them skeptically. How? We don't have access to their shields. Not directly, Lisa explained. But we have footage of every interaction. With the right analysis and some specialized tests of our own, we might find something useful. Evans glanced at the screen, where Zortek was calmly explaining how humanity would benefit from Velrathi guidance. His jaw tightened. You have 24 hours, he said. After that, we might not have a choice about who runs this facility. As they walked quickly back to their lab, Lisa whispered to John, Do you really think we can find a weakness in their defenses? John's expression was grim but determined. They think our weapons are primitive and obsolete. Let's see if we can prove them wrong. 3 months passed since the Velrathi arrived. The aliens had established control centers in every major city. They called these places guidance facilities, but most humans saw them as occupation headquarters. The Velrathi supervised all military bases, weapons research, and technology development worldwide. At the Nevada facility, John and Lisa continued their work under the watchful eyes of a Velrathi observer named Krelvor. The alien followed them everywhere, watching their experiments with what seemed like boredom. Your continued focus on projectile weapons is inefficient, Krelvor said one morning. Such technology reached its limit centuries ago. Lisa smiled politely. We're just following orders. The transition team wants documentation of all current projects before shutting them down. Krelvor made a clicking sound that might have been agreement and moved to the corner of the lab, where he monitored communications on his wrist device. John waited until the alien seemed distracted before sliding a tablet to Lisa. On it was data from their recent tests they ran in secret during the night when their Velrathi supervisor was away. Lisa studied the numbers and raised her eyebrows. These results match our theory, she whispered. For weeks after the initial contact, they had analyzed footage of Velrathi shields interacting with different weapons. What they discovered gave them hope. The alien shields were incredibly effective against energy weapons, but seemed to work differently against physical projectiles. The shield has to convert kinetic energy to heat, John had explained during one of their late-night sessions. That requires more power than simply redirecting energy weapons. Their latest test confirmed it. Using specialized bullets with ceramic cores and unique metal compositions, they had found combinations that strained the alien shields more than others. Some configurations caused the shields to flare brightly, indicating stress. "We need more," Lisa whispered now, "and we need help." That evening, John met with Sergeant Alan Cooper in the base gym. Their conversation looked like casual chat between friends, but they were careful with their words. "How's your collection coming along?" John asked as they lifted weights. Cooper, understanding the code, nodded. "Got some interesting pieces lately, old styles mostly. The observers don't care much about them." What Cooper meant was that he had gathered various ammunition types and older weapons that the Velrathi largely ignored, considering them obsolete. "Bring them to the usual place tonight," John said quietly. "And see if you can get Kate to join us." Kate Winters was a communications specialist who had found ways to avoid alien monitoring. Her skills would be crucial for what they planned. Next, that night after Krelvor left for the main Velrathi compound, the four humans met in an old storage room they had converted into a secret lab. The room's walls contained lead shielding from its former use as an X-ray facility, which blocked most scans. Cooper laid out his collection on the table, ammunition ranging from standard military rounds to specialized hunting bullets, even some handcrafted ammunition he had made himself. "The Velrathi don't even inventory this stuff," Cooper said. "They're so focused on energy weapons and advanced tech that they ignore anything they consider outdated." Kate Winters, a slim woman with short brown hair, was typing rapidly on a secure tablet. "I've established a connection to similar groups at 3 other bases. They're seeing the same patterns we are. Show them our latest results," Lisa said, passing over her data tablet. As Kate shared their findings, John loaded various ammunition types into test weapons. Their makeshift lab included a special chamber where they could fire weapons safely and measure the effects. "The ceramic core rounds show the most promise," John explained. "They cause a different reaction in the shield harmonics." For the next hour, they tested different combinations, measuring how each affected a shield generator they had secretly taken from a damaged Velrathi drone. The results confirmed their theory. Certain physical projectiles caused the shields to work much harder than others. "It's like they're designed specifically to stop energy weapons," Lisa said, reviewing the data. "Their technology evolved to counter other species who followed the same development path they did. But humans kept improving both paths," John added. "We never abandoned kinetic weapons even as we developed energy tech." Kate looked up from her tablet. "We're getting reports that the Velrathi are accelerating their timeline. They're starting to remove human leaders who resist them. People are disappearing." Cooper's face darkened. "My cousin works in government. He says the Velrathi are harvesting resources from remote areas. It's not just about guiding us, they're taking what they want." "We need to share this information more widely," John said. "But carefully," Kate nodded. "I've developed a communication system using old radio frequencies. The Velrathi mostly monitor digital networks. They seem to consider analog technology beneath notice." Their planning was interrupted by a soft beep from Kate's security sensor. Someone was approaching the storage area. They quickly packed away their equipment into hidden compartments. Cooper grabbed a mop while the others pretended to be doing inventory of old supplies. The door opened to reveal General Evans. The lines on his face had deepened over the past months. He closed the door behind him. "At ease," he said, seeing their tense postures. "The corridor is clear." "Sir, we have developments to report," John began. "So do I," Evans cut in. "The Velrathi are installing a new command structure tomorrow. All human military leaders will become advisors only, with no actual authority." Lisa stepped forward. "Sir, we've made progress on understanding their shield technology. We've identified potential weaknesses. Evan's tired eyes showed the first spark of hope they had seen in weeks. Show me everything, he said. For the next half hour, they presented their findings. The Velrathi shields were specialized to counter the weapons they considered advanced, energy beams, plasma, and similar technology. Against physical projectiles, the shields worked differently, converting kinetic energy to heat through a process that required significant power. If we can overload that conversion process with the right type of ammunition, John explained, the shield might fail. Evans studied the data carefully. Even if this works, we'd need to coordinate globally. The Velrathi control all official communications. Kate raised her hand slightly. Not all of them, sir. I've established a network using technologies the Velrathi consider obsolete. Old radio, packet systems running on hardware they don't monitor. Like our weapons, Cooper added, they've dismissed anything they consider primitive. Evans nodded, slowly, a plan forming in his mind. We'll need more than just this facility. We need a test against actual Velrathi shields, not just salvage technology. That means a direct confrontation, Lisa said quietly. Yes, Evans agreed, but a carefully controlled one. We need to verify this works before attempting anything larger. John looked at each face in the room. Their arrogance might be their weakness. They're so convinced of their superiority that they've stopped watching for threats from technologies they've moved beyond. Precisely, Evans said. Sometimes the old ways have advantages the new never considered. As they continued planning, none of them noticed the small maintenance drone in the corner of the ceiling, a drone that normally serviced the air filters but now transmitted everything it saw to a different destination. The next morning, John and Lisa arrived at the lab to find Krelvor waiting with another Velrathi. The new alien was smaller, with paler skin and only 3 arms instead of 4. This is Nexaval, Krelvor announced. He will assist in the final documentation of your projectile weapons program before it is terminated next week. John nodded politely, while exchanging a worried glance with Lisa. Their timeline had just been shortened dramatically. Throughout the day, they explained their research to Nexaval, showing only the official projects and nothing of their secret work. Unlike Krelvor, who barely hid his boredom, Nexaval seemed genuinely interested in human weapon design. Your species took a unique development path, Nexaval commented while examining a rifle. Most worlds abandon physical projectiles once they discover energy manipulation. Tradition, mostly, Lisa replied carefully. Our military has used firearms for centuries. When Krelvor left the room to report to his superiors, Nexaval's demeanor changed completely. He leaned forward and spoke in an urgent whisper. I need to speak with your leaders in private, away from monitoring. John tensed, suspecting a trap. Why would we arrange that? Because I know what you're doing, Nexaval said quietly. And I want to help. Before John could respond, Krelvor returned. Nexaval immediately resumed his previous professional manner, continuing the weapons review as if nothing had happened. That evening, John reported the strange encounter to General Evans. It could be a trap, Evans said, pacing the small secret room where they met. But we can't ignore potential intelligence. Kate Winters looked up from her communication equipment. I've vetted the room in Section C7. It's clean of monitoring devices, and the walls contain enough interference material to block scans. Set up the meeting, Evans decided. But Cooper and his team will be ready if anything goes wrong. The next day, they managed to bring Nexaval to the secure room without Krelvor noticing. Once inside, the alien seemed to relax visibly. Thank you for trusting me, Nexaval began. What I'm about to tell you violates every rule of my people, but I cannot remain silent any longer. For the next 20 minutes, Nexaval revealed the truth about the Velrathi presence on Earth. They were not guides or mentors. They were colonizers who had used this exact approach on dozens of worlds. The pattern is always the same, Nexaval explained. First, they demonstrate technological superiority. Then they establish guidance centers while identifying key resources. Finally, they begin replacing the native population with Velrathi, settlers while extracting everything valuable from the planet. Why are you telling us this? Lisa asked. Because I am from a world they conquered 3 generations ago, Nexval said. The 3-armed Velrothi are not pure Velrothi at all. We are the remnants of a species called the Nelvani. We serve as a worker class now. General Evans leaned forward. Are there others like you? Others who might help? A few, but we must be careful. The Velrothi implant monitoring devices in most workers. I disabled mine at great risk. Nexval pulled back his silver skin to reveal a small scar where something had been removed. I was a scientist on my world before the conquest. I've studied their technology for years looking for weaknesses. John and Lisa exchanged looks. We've been testing their shield technology, John said carefully. We think we found something. Nexval's large eyes widened. The energy conversion matrix. You've noticed it? Lisa nodded. Their shields seem optimized against energy weapons but work differently against physical projectiles. Yes, Nexval said excitedly. The Velrothi abandoned projectile weapons so long ago that their defensive systems evolved specifically to counter energy-based attacks. The shield must actively convert kinetic energy instead of simply redirecting it. Can it be overloaded? John asked. Theoretically, yes. With the right material composition and velocity. Nexval paused, but you would need to know exactly how their system operates to develop an effective countermeasure. Can you help us with that? Evans asked. That's why I'm here, Nexval replied. I've studied their technology for years. Together we might finally find a way to fight back. Over the next week, Nexval worked secretly with the human team. He provided crucial information about Velrothi shield harmonics and the specific frequencies their systems used. The shields operate on a 3-phase cycling system, he explained while drawing diagrams. They're weakest during the microsecond transition between phases. With this knowledge, Lisa and John refined their ammunition design. They created rounds with layered metals and ceramics that would disrupt the shield's energy conversion process at precisely the right moment. Meanwhile, Kate expanded her communication network, connecting with resistance groups on every continent. Cooper and his team began secretly manufacturing the special ammunition, distributing it through channels the Velrothi didn't monitor. The Velrothi are planning something big, Nexval warned during one meeting. They've accelerated their timeline on every world they've conquered, but never this quickly. Something about Earth has them concerned. What could it be? Lisa wondered. I believe they fear your species' adaptability, Nexval replied. Most worlds they conquer follow predictable technological paths. Humans combine old and new technologies in ways the Velrothi find disturbing. Their planning was interrupted when the door burst open. Krelvor stood there with 2 armed Velrothi guards. Traitor, he hissed at Nexval. The maintenance drone captured everything. The guards raised their weapons, but Cooper was faster. He fired twice with a pistol loaded with their experimental ammunition. The bullets struck the lead guard's shield, causing it to flare brightly before failing completely. The guard collapsed. The second guard fired, his energy weapon scorching the wall near Cooper's head. Evans tackled him while John grabbed the fallen guard's weapon. Krelvor backed toward the door, raising his wrist communicator. Security breach in Section C7. All units. Lisa grabbed a small device from the table and threw it at Krelvor. It stuck to his chest and emitted a pulse that disrupted his communicator. The alien roared in anger and lunged for her. Nexval moved with surprising speed, intercepting Krelvor. The 2 aliens grappled, crashing into equipment. Go, Nexval shouted. They'll send reinforcements immediately. John hesitated. We can't leave you. You must. Take what we've learned. It's the only hope. Nexval struggled to hold Krelvor. The main ship. Target the central control hub. Their shields are the same design as the personal ones. Evans made the hard decision. Everyone out. Now. Cooper, secure our escape route. As they fled through the emergency tunnel that Kate had mapped, they heard alarms blaring throughout the facility. Outside, Velrothi ships were already descending from the sky. They'll lock down every military base now, Evans said grimly as they reached their hidden vehicles. We need to disperse and implement the contingency plan immediately. John looked back at the facility where Nexval had likely sacrificed himself. What now, sir? Evan's face was set with determination. Now we show them that primitive doesn't mean ineffective. Kate, send the signal. It's time every human on Earth learned exactly how to fight back. 2 weeks after their escape from the Nevada facility, John and Lisa were hiding in an abandoned mining town in the Rocky Mountains. The small collection of buildings served as one of many resistance outposts that had sprung up across the country. Sergeant Cooper had established a makeshift ammunition factory in the old mining office, while Kate maintained communications from the former general store. Message from General Evans, Kate announced one morning as they gathered for breakfast. Operation First Strike is approved. Teams are in position worldwide. John looked at the others. Their faces showed a mixture of hope and fear. What they were about to attempt had never been done before. Are we ready? He asked. Lisa nodded and unrolled a map on the table. We've distributed the specialized ammunition to 6 key locations. Each team will target a smaller Velrothi outpost simultaneously. What about the communications hub? Cooper asked between bites of canned beans. That's our job, John replied. If we can capture it intact, Kate can broadcast the shield frequency data to military forces worldwide. The Velrothi response to their escape had been swift and harsh. They had locked down all major military bases and increased patrols around their facilities. They had also begun a propaganda campaign, claiming that extremist humans were endangering the guidance relationship. But something unexpected had also happened. Ordinary citizens, tired of alien control, had begun resisting, in small ways. Some refused to follow Velrothi directives, others sabotaged equipment or blocked access to resources. The aliens, unused to such widespread disobedience, were struggling to maintain control. As evening approached, the team prepared their weapons. Cooper had perfected the ammunition design based on Nexval's information. Each bullet contained layers of different metals and ceramics designed to disrupt shield harmonics at specific frequencies. Remember, Lisa said as they checked their gear, aim for center mass just like with regular targets. The bullets need direct contact with the shield to work properly. John loaded his rifle and nodded. Transport leaves in 20 minutes, get ready. They traveled through the mountains in old trucks with engines that had been modified to run silently. Kate monitored Velrothi communications on equipment that used frequencies the aliens considered obsolete and rarely scanned. All teams report. Ready? She said, listening to her headset. Synchronizing attack time to 200 hours. Their target was a small Velrothi communications relay station built on a hillside. It was lightly guarded with only 4 aliens on duty and automated security systems that the Resistance had carefully studied. At precisely 2 a.m., John gave the signal. They approached from different directions, using the trees and rocks as cover. The facility's perimeter sensors would normally detect intruders, but Kate had analyzed their frequencies and found a gap in their coverage. The first Velrothi guard never saw them coming. Cooper fired a single shot from his rifle. The special bullet hit the alien's shield, causing it to flare brightly for a second before collapsing completely. The guard fell silently as Cooper rushed forward. Inside the facility, the other guards reacted to alarms. One fired an energy weapon toward Lisa, but she ducked behind a console and returned fire with her modified handgun. The bullets penetrated the alien's shield just as they had hoped, and it collapsed to the floor. John moved toward the central control room where the main communications equipment was housed. A Velrothi technician saw him and activated his shield, reaching for an alarm panel. John fired twice. The first bullet caused the shield to flare wildly. The second passed through completely. Control room secure, John called out. Kate, you're up. Kate rushed in with her equipment. She had studied Velrothi systems extensively and quickly bypassed their security measures, gaining access to their communications network. I'm in, she announced after several tense minutes. Give me the data package. Lisa handed her a small device containing all the information they had gathered about Velrothi shield vulnerabilities, including manufacturing specifications for the special ammunition. Uploading now, Kate said, connecting the device. This will go to every resistance cell and military unit still operating independently. Cooper, who was watching the perimeter, called out, Incoming. Velrothi patrol ship approaching fast. John looked at Kate. How much longer? 3 minutes for complete upload, she replied, working frantically at the controls. We might not have 3 minutes, Lisa said, joining Cooper at the window. The Velrothi ship was descending rapidly, its searchlight scanning the area. Hold them off, Kate said without looking up from her work. I need to finish this, John. And Cooper took positions at the windows while Lisa gathered all the data they couldn't afford to lose. Outside, the Velrothi ship landed and 6 alien soldiers emerged, their shields already activated. Remember what Nex Val told us, John said as he aimed his rifle. Their shields cycle every 12 seconds. Watch for the pattern. They fired, in coordinated bursts, timing their shots to hit during the microsecond transitions in the shield cycles. 2 Velrothi fell immediately, causing the others to take cover. The aliens returned fire, their energy weapons scorching the walls of the facility. One blast hit near Cooper, throwing him back. Cooper! Lisa shouted, rushing to his side. I'm okay, he grunted, though his arm was badly burned. Keep firing. John maintained steady pressure on the aliens, forcing them to stay in cover. Each time one tried to advance, he targeted them with precision. Upload at 80%, Kate called out from the control room. Just a little longer. The Velrothi commander shouted orders, and the remaining aliens spread out to surround the building. John knew they couldn't hold this position much longer. Lisa, get the emergency charges ready, he ordered. If we can't hold them off, we destroy the facility rather than let them recapture it. Lisa nodded grimly and began placing small explosive devices at key structural points. Upload complete. Kate shouted triumphantly. The data is transmitting worldwide right now. Almost immediately, their radios crackled with messages from other teams. Similar attacks had succeeded at multiple locations. In each case, the special ammunition had penetrated Velrothi shields, just as they had hoped. We need to move now, John said, helping Cooper to his feet. The data is out. Our job here is done. As they retreated through the back exit, Lisa triggered the charges. The facility exploded behind them, destroying any chance the Velrothi had of stopping the transmission. They ran to their hidden vehicles as alien reinforcements arrived overhead, too late to prevent what had happened. As they drove away through mountain paths too narrow for the Velrothi ships to follow, Kate's radio buzzed with reports from around the world. It's working, she said, her face lit by the radio's glow. Military units everywhere are reporting successful engagements using our ammunition specs. For the first time, the Velrothi are retreating. John exchanged a look with Lisa as they bounced along the rough road. Nex Val was right, he said quietly. Their arrogance was their weakness. They never expected to be defeated by weapons they considered primitive. This is just the beginning, Lisa replied. The Velrothi still control their main ships and most of their forces. They'll adapt quickly now that they know their vulnerability. Let them try, Cooper said through gritted teeth as Kate bandaged his arm. Humans have always been good at one thing, adapting faster than our enemies. 1 month after Operation First Strike, the war against the Velrothi had transformed completely. Humanity's initial victories had given people hope, but the aliens had responded with brutal force. They destroyed entire towns suspected of harboring resistance fighters and increased attacks on population centers. Yet for the first time, humans could fight back effectively. Military forces around the world now used ammunition based on John and Lisa's designs. Older weapons that had been in storage for decades were brought back into service, retrofitted with the special bullets that could penetrate Velrothi shields. John, Lisa, Cooper, and Kate had joined General Evans at a hidden command center in the mountains of Colorado. The large underground bunker had once been a Cold War relic but now served as the heart of the resistance. The Velrothi are adapting, General Evans said during a strategy meeting. They've modified their shields to better handle our ammunition. Lisa nodded. We expected that. But they can't completely redesign their shield technology overnight. The fundamental weakness is still there. We just need to adjust our approach. On the main screen, they watched footage from battles around the world. In some places, humans were winning. In others, the Velrothi still held the advantage with their superior technology. We need to do more than just hold our ground, John said. According to the data we captured, the Velrothi have called for reinforcements from their home system. Kate, who had been analyzing Velrothi communications, looked up from her station. Confirmed. A large fleet will arrive in 2 weeks. If that happens, all our progress will be lost. Cooper, his arm still in a sling from the previous mission, spoke up. What about Nexval's final message? He said something about the main ship's control hub having the same weakness. John walked to the map showing the positions of the major Velrothi vessels. The largest ship, the mothership, hovered over what had once been New York City. From there, Supreme Executor Vexmore commanded all Velrothi forces on Earth. If we could take out their command structure, John said slowly, it might buy us enough time to prepare for the reinforcements. You're talking about attacking the mothership, Evans said. That's suicide. Not necessarily, Lisa replied. She pulled up schematics they had pieced together from Nexval's information and their own intelligence. The mothership has the same shield technology as their personal shields, just on a larger scale. And like all their technology, it's optimized against energy weapons, not kinetic impacts. What are you suggesting? Evans asked. We use their own shuttles against them, John explained. A small team infiltrates the mothership using captured Velrothi transport craft. Once inside, we plant explosives at key structural points, places protected by energy shields but vulnerable to physical force. A heavy silence fell over the room as everyone considered the dangers of such a mission. It could work, Cooper said, finally. But getting inside a Velrothi shuttle won't be easy. They're genetically keyed to their pilots. Not all of them, Kate countered. The transports used for human prisoners don't have the same security. If we could capture one intact? General Evans studied the plan for a long moment before nodding. While your team attempts this, we'll coordinate a global offensive to distract their forces. The next week was spent in intense preparation. Around the world, resistance fighters and military units prepared for what might be humanity's last stand. Old tanks were brought out of storage. Fighter jets that had been grounded since the invasion were made ready again. Even civilian vehicles were converted into combat transports. John's team focused on capturing a Velrothi prisoner transport. Intelligence reported that one would be passing near Denver, carrying humans to a labor camp. Remember, John told his strike team as they waited in position along the transport's route, we need the shuttle intact and at least one of the control panels functioning. When the alien craft appeared on the horizon, Cooper's team disabled it with carefully placed shots to its engine vents. Another weakness Nexval had revealed. The Velrothi guards were quickly overwhelmed by fighters using the special ammunition. With the transport secured, Lisa spent 2 days learning its control systems while Kate decoded its communication protocols. Once they were confident they could operate it without detection, they selected a small infiltration team. John, Lisa, Cooper, Kate, and 4 specially trained soldiers. The night before the mission, John found Lisa working late in the hangar, making final modifications to their explosives. Nervous? He asked, sitting beside her. Terrified, she admitted, but also hopeful. For the first time since they arrived, I feel like we might actually win this. Nexval gave his life so we could have this chance, John said quietly. I don't intend to waste it. The next morning, they boarded the Velrothi shuttle. Lisa took the pilot's position and activated the engines. The craft rose smoothly into the air and headed east. Approaching New York airspace, Lisa announced several hours later. Velrothi identification systems online. Kate monitored the communications. They're requesting authorization codes, transmitting now. 10 seconds passed before a response came. Transport J-47, you are cleared for docking Bay 12. The massive mothership grew larger in their view screen. It stretched for miles across the sky, dwarfing the buildings below. Lisa guided their shuttle toward one of many docking bays along its underside. Once we're inside, John reminded everyone, we split into 4 teams. Plant your charges at the designated points and return to the shuttle within 30 minutes. The shuttle landed with a soft thump. When the doors opened, they moved quickly, using captured Velrothi uniforms to blend in. The ship's interior was vast, with corridors stretching in all directions. Cooper led his team toward the shield generators. Lisa headed for the power distribution center. The other teams targeted communication arrays and structural supports. John made his way to the central control hub. According to their intelligence, this was where Supreme Executor Vexmore commanded the invasion. When the charges were placed, John gave the signal to retreat. They had almost reached the shuttle when alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "They've detected the explosives," Kate warned. "Security teams are converging on our position." They ran for the shuttle, exchanging fire with Velrathi guards. John was the last to board, diving through the door as Lisa lifted off. "All teams accounted for," Cooper reported. "Detonation in 30 seconds." As their shuttle sped away from the mothership, John looked back. For a moment, nothing happened. Then explosions rippled across the massive ship's surface. Unlike energy weapons, which the shields easily deflected, the physical explosions transferred their force directly through the shields, tearing the ship apart from within. The mothership began listing to one side as secondary explosions followed. Across the radio, they heard confused Velrathi communications as their command structure collapsed into chaos. "It worked," Lisa whispered, watching through the viewscreen. On the ground below, the resistance forces launched their coordinated attack. With the Velrathi command system in disarray, their troops fell into confusion. Human forces overwhelmed alien positions that had seemed impregnable just days before. As they flew back toward the mountains, reports came in from around the world. The Velrathi were retreating, abandoning their guidance centers and fleeing to their remaining ships. "This isn't over," General Evans warned when they returned to base. "They'll still have forces on Earth, and those reinforcements are still coming. But now we have a chance," John replied. "And we have something else too. Captured alien technology that we can study and adapt." Lisa smiled as she looked at the screens showing Velrathi ships fleeing Earth's atmosphere. Imagine their faces when they reported back to their homeworld that they were defeated by primitive weapons. "Not primitive," Cooper corrected. "Just different. Sometimes the old ways still have value." As humanity began the long process of rebuilding and preparing for the challenges ahead, John walked outside the bunker and looked up at the stars. The Velrathi had arrived believing their technology made them invincible. They had never considered that sometimes the oldest solutions were the ones enemies least expected.